Your journey to self-realization will be unique to you and you alone. Embark on a journey to fall in love with yourself. Remember that there is nothing more powerful than an embodied human being that knows itself. Find out what is your way of being in the world. What is it that you love? What is it that makes you feel connected? What is valuable to you? What do you enjoy? Do that, because that's going to bless everyone around you and you. You first.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. For those of you spiritually inclined, I've got good news because the wise, the holy, the ethereal Julie Piatt, aka SriMu, my in-house spiritual guru, my better half, a wise force of nature who is just so good at so many things I'm never not inspired to do and be better myself, is here today. For those new or unfamiliar, Julie is an accomplished yogi. She's a musician, a chef, a mom to our 4 children. She's also the best-selling author of 3 vegan cookbooks. She hosts the For the Life of Me podcast and lords over Water Tiger, her online spiritual community. She's also the CEO and mother arc of SriMu, absolutely the best plant-based cheese in the known universe. I'm not biased, which if you have yet to try, I highly recommend you do so. And you can do that by going to SriMu.com, SRIMU.com. And if you use the promo code RRP20, you'll get free shipping on orders over $127. Longtime listeners are well acquainted with Julie. She's been a recurring source of spiritual wisdom on the podcast, dropping many a pearl over the years on basically everything from parenting and creativity to finding meaning, purpose, finding direction, grappling with love, grief, and everything in between. Today's conversation centers on the ways we can all become more embodied, more connected to the core of our true beings. We discuss how to find direction in our intuition. We talk about how to remove obstacles on your path to self-growth, how to face trauma, and how to cultivate self-love. Every podcast with Julie is sure to deliver some soul-nourishing magic. This conversation is no exception. So let's turn a tarot card or two, spin the medicine wheel, and open ourselves to the wisdom of Julie Piatt. Well, the High Priestess is back. I think only Gaia knows what's to come. And I don't know. What are we going to do? We're going to just see what comes out the other side. Be open to the divine unfoldment.
Let's do that. I mean, are we courageous enough to just sit in the emptiness and allow whatever is there to arise?
Makes me very nervous.
I know. We have done the least planning. We didn't even have our conversation about not planning this time.
I almost brought it up. Yeah, like this is the trope. We start every podcast by talking about my pattern of coming to you and saying, we need to talk about what we're going to talk about, and you rebuffing me. But after 10 years of that, I now know that that's a fruitless endeavor. So I did kind of say, are we going to, you want to go over anything?
But actually I say it's a fruitful endeavor because the podcast between you and me have delivered some magic every time.
There is a track
There is
record.
some, I mean, obviously you would not invite me back if that was not the case.
Well,
so they are fruitless. They are
like
fruitful.
being married to you.
No, but even so, that you wouldn't have.
No, they deliver. I think that speaks to perhaps
my brilliance.
Well, your brilliance, but also, and your brilliance and my insecurity or imposter syndrome, because after 10 years of doing this, I, by and large, over-prepare every time. I like to be prepared. And then afterwards, I think, maybe I shouldn't have prepared that much. Maybe I should trust myself at this point that I know how to get through a 2-hour conversation and make it somewhat
make
meaningful.
It work.
That's my process.
I think it's because sorry to interrupt you on your own show, but I think it's because of the juxtaposition of our processes and the way that we both do things in a different way, and how we somehow allow the space for those two things to exist in the same space, in love. Somehow they both can be true. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your spontaneity and your very different approach that, despite the discomfort that it presents, I do trust and know that it will all work out.
Now,
So
hopefully it will, because I don't know.
turn.
Now we've said this whole thing, and
What
now
do you
what if
wanna
it
say?
doesn't? What if it what if it's
exactly.
not really fruitful?
The ball is in your court.
The ball's in my court.
Yeah.
Oh my
What
God.
is-
Well,
what-
hi,
what-
Ritual.
What has you lit up right now? What are your current epiphanies?
So I think
what are you
it's
thinking about?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think it's a really profound time on planet Earth. I mean, obviously, we've been talking about that for a bit. But I am really feeling a quickening in the energies of creation, of newness, of a new birth, of a new awakening, a new operating system in many, many areas of human life. That is coupled with some absolutely unimaginable scenarios of suffering, of death, of exit. What comes to mind and what has been on my heart just recently is the devastating earthquake in Syria and Turkey. And so, these things are profound, beyond comprehension. The level of suffering, the immensity of that planetary Earth adjustment, it's beyond imagination that anyone would ever suffer, such an experience. And seeing some of the videos of children being trapped for weeks, alone, babies, children, men, women, moms, fathers, brothers, uncles, and to see the heroism of humanity coming to get them, coming to dig them out. It's had me on my knees, quite frankly, of recent. And, my prayer is always for us in those scenarios that, let the suffering be the least possible, like the least possible moment, and allow something else, that unseen, that divine, that grace to surround our beloved humanity, our brothers, our sisters, our children. And may they be guided and carried, into the next realm with peace and comfort and beauty and care and nourishment and celebration. So that is happening, on this planet. And at the same time, I have not felt this level of creativity, of joy, of expansion, of connection. People, both old friends and new friends, coming into, the field, into life experiences. And there is a quickening. You can feel something is at hand, and something very miraculous and very beautiful.
Well, that's beautifully put. I do feel kinship with the notion that it is a moment or an era of extremes. Everything feels very extreme, from the tragic end of the spectrum to the rebirth end. You talked about new operating systems and new models for humanity. And, over the past 2 weeks or so, as you know, like Adam and I have been working on this episode around artificial intelligence, kind of a documentary style twist on our normal format that we're really excited about. But we've been having lots of conversations with people who are on the front lines of this emergent operating system. So in the birth of, new modalities for, human operating systems, we're seeing the birth of new operating systems in the artificial realm as well that are already having massive impacts on how we think about our own humanity and how we kind of function in the workplace and beyond. And it's been revelatory, but also something that has given me pause. Like, I think we're on the cusp of truly a paradigm shift in not just technology, but how we reflect upon, who we are as human beings and what we have to offer in the face of such a powerful technology that at this point is becoming more and more perfect at mimicking human behavior, which is confusing and creates a sort of uncanny valley that is freaky, And I think this is just the beginning of all of that. And it's unclear what's going to happen, but it's hard not to entertain dystopic thoughts about, the implications of something so powerful that's being unleashed upon us essentially without consent, and all of the, impossible to foresee implications of that.
Well, that's a very healthy awareness and concern that you have. And that is an agenda that is rolling out on planet Earth. It is part of our evolution, part of what we signed up to sort of experience and make choices and co-create with or not. And, as a spiritual being, as one who is connecting to the true organic life print, the original instruction sets of what makes up a divine human being, my response is that we have the choice to choose our organic embodiment, our original organic intention. And you said something very powerful, that AI mimics humanity. It is not humanity. It can never be humanity. And there is a sense, I'll call it a spidey sense, or the supreme intelligence which exists within the heart. So the heart is the true supreme intelligence that we have. It is not the mind. And so the mechanism that tells you the difference between AI, what is false, what is non-human, and what is human, is a feeling tone. It's a feeling sensation. And so we're getting trained to understand how to scan situations, people, experiences, food, music, all kinds of things, and determine, is that an organic life form or is that inorganic?
Mm-hmm. But as these technologies mature and become more sophisticated, infinitely more sophisticated than they currently are, that ability, that attunement to organic versus inorganic will become more difficult to decipher. And, I'm sure there are people who would say, why does that distinction matter ultimately?
Well, it matters deeply unless you want to be artificial. So I would just say that, again, reminding ourselves that there is nothing more powerful than an embodied human being that knows itself. Remember that nothing has the ability to be in your energetic field, your body, your life stream without your consent. And so there are universal laws that you can activate by claiming your sovereign embodiment in your own life form. And so you'll have a choice, and there'll be a million different levels that you can hybridize or not. But it is a choice. And with attunement, with awareness, you can learn to discern what is false. And I would say even more than that, humanity has an innate ability to recognize something that's not right. They can go, yeah, that just doesn't feel right. That seems off. That seems artificial. So I think we do have a very strong mechanism with which to discern.
And so in your in casting your spiritual gaze forward, what does the near and long-term future look like for this particular landscape?
Well, I mean, I can't predict the future, and the future is being made in the moments. It's all happening in the present moment. But I do know that this is a planetary procession unlike any other time. It is not like any time in history previous. We are literally the show of the multiverse. Many eyes are upon us. And this is a wonderful, wonderful realm to be incarnated in, to experience life, for evolution. I can't tell you, I can't predict the future. All I can tell you is that choosing sovereign embodiment in your own body, in all things, is a great awareness and a great power.
So for somebody who's listening to this or watching it, who's new to perhaps the types of concepts that you are immersed in, what would that mean? Like if somebody's like, well, maybe I'd like to make that choice, but I don't even know what she is.
Yeah, I mean, it starts in the
do.
beginning. It starts with self-inquiry, with yoga practices. And I don't mean yoga practices to then go put yourself in a lineage that then is a box that then confines you. But to start to explore the truth that every single life form, it comes from the one breath, and that each of us are sacred in our own inherent design. And so what it is it's more of a removing blocks, mental setups, attitudes, judgments, maybe the way you were raised, maybe lies you were told, and starting to really embark on a journey to fall in love with yourself. And this is, of course, what I teach in my Water Tiger mentorship. All the techniques are designed to lead you into fully embodiment of who you are. The most important perspective in your life is yours and yours alone. Your journey to self-realization will be unique to you and you alone. This is very hard for humanity at large to grasp because the mind is always looking for a consensus. It wants to know the answer. It wants to know what's the best diet, what's going to happen, what's the best technology, what's the best training practice. It wants to create these boxes of some truth because it makes the ego or the personality feel more comfortable, more safe. But the truth of the matter is we are billions of unique life forms living in this realm, and the experience of life is unique for each of us. So it's about taking responsibility, understanding no one is coming. There's no one coming that's going to save you, that's going to resolve your issues, your challenges, experiences, desires, dreams, the things that you took a body to experience. And so we have this wonderful blessing of life, and that is to discover who we are, to express ourselves. And for me, those treasures have been and will always be residing in the heart.
This is a journey that I'd like to think that I'm on, and the more deeply I immerse myself into this process, the more I realize how much work remains. Like I feel like I've done a lot of work, and each step along the way, I realize not only is there no finish line, but perhaps that finish line gets a little bit more distant. I mean, this is the practice, right? And I've done certain things over the past year that have been revelatory and healing, and really helped me make peace with my past and allowed me to enter into a deeper level of forgiveness and compassion. But the thing that is ultimately resting beneath all of it that has remained a struggle is the self-love piece. I am, for reasons I somewhat understand and also don't understand, have such difficulty with self-forgiveness or granting myself the level of forgiveness and compassion that I would grant even a stranger with ease.
Would you like a free code to Water Tiger?
Yeah, I might have to join your spiritual community.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe I'm not your healer.
Yeah. No, it was when I went, so the audience knows, prior to Christmas, I was up in Portland at Dr. Paul Conti's clinic and did a week-long, pretty intense deep dive into family of origin stuff, healing past trauma, and a lot of it. I came away from that, with a greater understanding of my kind of blueprint and the things that kind of motivated my behaviors and led me to become the person that I am. But again, like there is that layer of like, can you just love yourself unconditionally?
Well, I mean, you can't resolve something in a week, like
No,
a
I know.
week, obviously.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
it was a starting point.
Yeah, it's a start. It's a very
of course.
beginning point. And the other thing is that this goes on forever. Like it never will stop.
That's my point.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what, it's funny. Not that funny, but I recently heard somebody raving about, there's this enlightened being and he's made it through the 12 stages of enlightenment, and I just sort of smiled. I mean, I'm sure the being is very amazing and very beautiful, but it's all a system. It's all a perspective. It's just a fractal. It's a perspective of the crystal of which we all make up. We all come from that. And so the other thing that I would like to just offer you as your beloved and as someone who cares for you deeply, and I know that we share this. So you say this self-love part is so tough for you. Well, it's tough for all of us. I mean, that is the thing. I mean, you can talk to Giselle, who's like the most beautiful supermodel ever, and she'll tell you that she felt ugly, judged. I mean, I don't know her, so Giselle, I don't know if you really said that, but I'm going to wager that that's true. It doesn't matter. It's like, it's part of the human condition because we leave the one and we come into a body and we feel this immense separation. And with that separation comes this, falling from the unity, basically. So it's by design that it happens that way. But what I would offer to you is that I'm starting to think that it's not going to be hard at all, actually. I've had a couple experiences in the last few months where I've glimpsed aspects of being embodied in, let's say, a more high vibrating life form, like in my body, and so as I'm doing Pilates, or I'm taking care of my skin, or I'm making sure that I hike and that I meditate and that I don't carry stress in my body. I'm feeling like, I want to take care of my physical form. And I had this moment where this sort of quantum presence came into my body and showed me just a glimpse of the power, the perfection, the beauty that is just there beyond this density. And then I started laughing and I said, actually, maybe it's not going to be hard at all. Maybe when the frequency gets to that point, it's going to be like the wind blows across your cheek and suddenly you're rejuvenated. Your back is feeling better. So again, it's like this idea of hard work is old, in a lot of ways, old paradigm. It shouldn't be hard work. I am not disciplined. I am not working hard at spirituality. I am in a state of beingness, of connection to the breath, the moment, the presence, the allowing, the surrender. And the greatest secret that I can share on your show today and right now in my life, the superpower is relaxation. That is the superpower. So everyone listening to this, just consider how you are when you're working so hard. You're going for things so committed. You're wanting this so badly. It's like, just observe all the things in your body that are constricting. It's closing off your life force. It's causing a closing down of energy. And what if you knew that the more you could relax, everybody just let your belly go, let your body just relax, start to connect to your breath. And what if you knew that the more you relaxed, the more light could enter you, the more help you can get from the universe, the more you merge with that which is really sourcing you, living you, breathing you. So this whole idea of this work, we got to work and it's got to be so hard, it's actually not true. It's an illusion. So again, many years ago, when your beloved friend who was on the cover of Time magazine, the Olympian, the swimmer, he's a reverend.
Byron Davis?
Yeah, Byron Davis. He was sitting at our kitchen table and you guys were having this conversation. We were having this conversation. And I was like, how about training for the love of it? Like just for the love of it. And he told this story. he was training for a qualifying round or something, and he woke up with the flu, and he was not in his best self, and he was swimming, and he was getting beat. And then suddenly, he said something beyond himself came in, and he entered this relaxation, and he won. And we had that conversation back then. So it's not foreign to you. I know that. But I'm reminding you, and I'm not saying, so then don't say that, oh, well, then how does anything get done? You know I do 29 things all the time. It's the way it's done. It's the intention that it's done in. And so this world is a beautiful world where we get to evolve through experiences. And that's why every single one of your desires, you should experience it. You should do it. You should go for it, go in it, feel it, be it, become it, because that's evolution. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, it's a really powerful concept that is deeply paradoxical for me, or counterintuitive, in that I'm so wired around the Protestant work ethic mentality in the way that I was raised, and in the evidence that my mind points to, which is constantly reaffirming this notion that if you want something, or you want to achieve something, or you have a goal that you're chasing, whatever it is, that success in that regard is directly correlates the amount of work you're willing to put in. And in my case, that is, inextricably connected to suffering, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to write a book, whatever I'm going to do, like, it will only be as good as I am willing to suffer for it, which is a lie that I've told myself time and time again. And I've been able, through self-will, to achieve certain things with that disposition. But ultimately, it is an unsustainable energy source. So the idea that you are going to release that pattern, that entrenched neural pathway that is constantly telling you that that is the way to do things, and instead be in a place of receiving presence, acceptance, and ease, is so uncomfortable. Like, I would rather just grind and sweat and have sleepless nights than just be like, what if it was easy? What if you could just allow it to happen and it would happen? Because in my brain then says, well, that doesn't make sense. How is that going to work? That feels like a risk. So it's extremely uncomfortable, and yet clearly there is, profound wisdom in that, right? Like, if you could just adopt a mindset of abundance, do the work, but not attach the suffering and the toil and the pain to the work. Have a healthy distance from from expectations and from the results of your efforts, and be in this place of allowing.
And I'll tell you what your key is. The key is devotion. It's understanding that you are not responsible for anything that has occurred in your life. That it is not because of your hard work. It is not because you're so smart, or you're smarter than someone else, or you did X, Y, and Z. It's by the grace of the force. That's why. Your body is doing millions of operations that your mind could never, ever define, happening right now in the body. And it's the devotional part that frees you. If you understand that it's not you, but it's the breath working through you, then you can become devotional to that life force and serve that life force. Yes, very specifically through you. It's not going to be different through you than it is through me, but it's really just the one. And you use the word work, but actually in this example of this extraordinary podcast that you have been placed in the middle of without having it on your bucket list or your vision board, or you literally did it because you loved it. And really, Divine Mother or the force or consciousness, we'll call it the breath, knows your heart's desires better than you know them yourself. And after you went through a fair amount of, I would say, initiations, tests, alchemical experiences, it placed you in a field doing something that you love more than anything. You are perfectly designed to do this type of podcast, interview, sharing information, conversation. And what I would say to you is that the core of the conversations is not work for you. It is pure joy for you. And so the opportunity is to maybe change some of your language around the word work. What if you change the word to discovery, the journey, the creation, the exploration? You know, it's not like SriMu gets launched because I just sat around and was like, you know, the breath will take care of it. It's because the body acts all the time because I'm receiving impulses and messages and guidance, and people are being brought to me. It's creating a magnetism. My devotion, my connection, my alignment with it, the values, the way that I create it, creates a magnetism that then brings me all these opportunities. And then I get to decide, you know, is that much in alignment that I'm going to go deeper, or am I going to just bless it and let it go? But I'm never in the illusion that I did this because I worked so hard and I deserve it. And it's just breathing through me. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, you know? Mm-hmm. So, and I love it. You know, I love the desires that are in my heart. And there are many things that, you know, I'm still doing and want to do. And I love it. I love the creation process. I love the process. I love all the other artistic collaborators, all the people that I get to meet with during the process. But you're in this position because you went through a devotional alchemy in our 9-year alchemical experience. And she presented you your perfect design of what you were designed to do perfectly.
I feel like I have a good appreciation for that. Like, I don't think of this as a result of me and my ego. Like, I do embrace that concept, and it's freeing the more that you can like live in that space, because you don't feel the weight on your shoulders as much, right? Like, I didn't do this. This is happening for a reason that is beyond the limitations of, you know, the intellect, and yet I still struggle so deeply to disconnect from my identification with the mind, mm-hmm. right? And meditation is helpful, and mindfulness practices, understanding the nature of mind, like non-dual meditation practice, like trying to get a glimpse of the vastness of consciousness and the mysteries of that. Like, the more I go deeper into that, the easier it is to relinquish self-will and to, recognize the perniciousness of the ego, or when the ego is flaring up and trying to like seize that kind of control. But it's a game of inches for me, mm-hmm. you know. But there is, you said earlier, like that idea that it doesn't have to be hard. Like, whatever kind of greater truths that you're trying to be in connection with, in relationship with, clearly that is not the result of effort. Like, if you're, just to use the meditation example, it's like if you're gripping your hands, like, I'm going to meditate so hard and I'm going to understand what this is all about, is obviously contrary to the nature of that practice, because the glimpses of the reality of consciousness and the true nature of the mind only comes from the letting go of all of that and in the allowing. And it's not necessarily something that would only come after years of practice. You could have that realization instantaneously.
In a moment. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I feel like most people want to eat better. They want to improve their diets.
Absolutely.
Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it.
This trips up so many people. We thought, hey, we know a couple things about how to do this.
A few.
So we created this thing called the Plant Power Meal Planner that is this beautiful offering whereby you gain access to literally thousands of plant-based recipes that you can totally customize based upon your preferences, your allergies, your peccadillos. It integrates with grocery delivery, so all the ingredients that you need get shipped right to your door so you can make the stuff that you've pre-selected.
And we all could use a little inspiration and support when preparing meals for our families in our busy lives. So we hope you join us no matter what your eating style is. We have our arms open wide, and we've saved you a space at our family table to join us in eating more healthy, vibrant, plant-based meals.
Visit meals.richroll.com.
One secret that I want to share with you is that your ability to connect with people is directly related to the experience that you have allowed yourself to have where you have faced your trauma. And when you went to that experience and you came back, I felt an intimacy with you that I have not felt in our entire relationship. So that trauma...
Tell me more. My ego wants to know more.
No, but I mean, that trauma that you're holding, that you think isn't anything, is keeping you from love. It's keeping you from love. Mm-hmm. And, self-love is the first thing, of course. I mean, but, we hear it very, like, if you can't love yourself, you can't love another. But I mean, like really, like it's really, really true. But I mean, love yourself literally like I am a creation of the divine, and I came in this manner, and these are the things that I'm designed to do. And this is something that is in my heart, something that feels resonant to me. And this is the thing that I do uniquely. You really do it uniquely. And then after you go through that experience, you get to a place where you're so fulfilled that then it starts to expand and touch the all. And I would say even in those unique experiences, it does touch the all. I mean, you're touching lots of people in this show, and that's deeply impactful. All of us that are sharing our stories, all of us through podcasts and books and songs and paintings and whatever we're doing. I mean, it touches our humanity. But that is really the key. It's like the level that you are separate from yourself is what is keeping you from further connection.
And so to your mind, looking at me, what are the things that are still separating me from myself or acting as barriers to breakthroughs, greater epiphanies, freedom, and the ability to step into, a more liberated way of being?
Well, all those things, we just sort of cover them. So attachment to the mind as intellect as being superior, attachment to science as being superior, attachment to having to suffer and bleed and it making the experience valid. Could be, an experience could be very valid. It could be life-changing, but it shouldn't be exclusive to something. Mm-hmm. Like an experience that comes like a breath, like a kiss on the cheek, is equally as valuable as the experience where you bled out on the pavement. So I would say probably that. And I would say also just the hiding from the trauma, the not wanting to go in and really look at life experience so that you can look at it, you can bless it, you can transmute it, you can move beyond it. There's forgiveness of everyone, of self, of other people. And, we're all going through it at some level. This is the condition of this realm. You incarnate, you separate, you choose the other experience. And one thing that's really, really up for me right now is that every single thing is connected. There isn't any event that happens in your life, in my life, in anyone's life today that is not connected. It's like I used to, of course there's more signs, that come in different ways, but it's like now it's just becoming completely normal Like, of course, it's all related. The way the patterns are setting up, it's unbelievable how connected everything is. And furthermore, with that it's a practice of really understanding and seeing everyone as divine. Like, it's this, equanimity. There is no value difference in creation. The sun is shining on all creation without a degree, without a scientific study, without a social class, color, sex, gender, choice of life. It literally does not care. It doesn't even care if you're spiritual or not. Spirituality is a choice of experience, right? Someone could just live out in the mountains or be an animal whisperer or a dog lover or, a gardener, and they would be as loved as would the criminal, the murderer, the homeless. It's a whole spectrum experience, and it's not for us to judge what is divine or not divine, but it is for us to use discernment. So it does matter who you spend your time with. But that's just a very existential.
You think about the distinction between judgment and discernment.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So if you just feel into judgment, feel into the vibration of that word, you'll find a separation, a barrier, a this or that. That is wrong. That does not have the right to exist. Or that is bad. There is a bad person and a good person. So that carries that type of information. But discernment is much more refined. It's a much more high level. So it's like, that is that being's choice of life experience. And then you're like, is that in alignment with my inner child that I have to protect, that it's my job to protect, or my soul, or my choice? But just because I choose to align with the date on this plate in front of us does not mean that the chocolate bar is evil. It's just a choice. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. It's a choice. And in another incarnation, I might be the chocolate bar. So remembering that as we're living simultaneous lifetimes in different space times, as a soul evolving, our journey is to evolve and then eventually at some point return home. So we're experiencing lots of different fractals, flavors, identities of life experience. And so it's like that saying, you shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house, or I don't know if that really works with this one, but the idea of like, somebody said to me when I had to file bankruptcy during our journey, our sacred journey, they were like, well, if I were you, I just wouldn't choose bankruptcy. I just wouldn't choose it. And I said to them, oh, really? I said, it might just choose you someday. So it's not, we should really be reverent to life, because this human life is quite profound and quite challenging. And there's no place for us to be judging others.
Is there ever a place in which it's appropriate to judge another?
No, only discernment. Never. Only discernment. I am not the one in this form. So I will remain in reverence, and I will cultivate life-affirming energy as much as I can. I commit to clearing out any trauma or residue in my energetic field, body, mind, spirit. And I serve with devotion. And I will take responsibility for alignment and also always discern, always. Because we are sovereign, embodied humans that have great power when we remember who we are.
But that sovereignty on some level, yes, ultimately we're sovereign beings. And yet so many of the actions that we repeat, or the ideas that we have, or the opinions that we hold, or the decisions that we make are being impulsed by things that are disconnected from one's sovereignty. And in saying that, what I'm thinking about is this intergenerational piece, right? This is top of mind because of the work that I've done. But the deeper I go into this world, the more clearly I'm able to see how much of not only my behavior, the patterns that that recur in my life, are the result of how I was brought up, or things that happen to me, et cetera. And this is, of course, the case for everybody, right? And so there's a tension or a disconnect between that sovereignty that we're seeking to embody and the autopilot nature with which we live our lives, for the most part, unconscious of. Like you were saying earlier, the courage to go to look at that trauma that you didn't want to look at. Like, I would have told you some years ago, like, there's nothing to see. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm pushing this thing down and like, don't bring it up because that's too painful to deal with. I would have been like, I'm good. Like, I don't know that there's no there, right? Mm-hmm. But I think there is a there for everybody. And again, without judgment, it's not about people being bad or good or anything like that. But the more awareness that I develop around this interconnectivity between, that goes back generations and generations and generations, and how these, certain aspects of personality show up time and time again, is quite revelatory. It's empowering ultimately when you can see that. And then, of course, the harder work is like, how do you untangle those knots and create new, healthier patterns to arrest the kind of gestalt of these patterns onto the next generation. Like, we're all here to do better than our parents, to live a little bit more enlightened than those who came before us, and to really see unhealthy patterns and then shoulder the responsibility to somehow arrest them, so that you're not only perpetrating them yourself, but also as a parent passing them on to the next generation. Is there any more worthy work to do, right? Like, it's been like extraordinary for me.
That's super cool to hear you say that. It's beautiful. So just a couple things. So many of us incarnated at this point, at this time, this point of planetary precession, because the energetics are at a place that they have never been in, eons of time. Let's say, I'm not even going to say a number because I'm not good with numbers, but so when you free yourself of those patterns, you will free not only yourself and not only your children, but all of your ancestry back and forward through time.
How does that work?
Consider that. It's an energetic that will literally clear it throughout the family lines. That is a lot of what the private session work that I do. We're clearing ancestral trauma. So we're all alive on planet Earth, and we have been in a forced reincarnation cycle. So we're taking bodies, and then we have alcoholism, and then we drop the body, and then we come back, and then it's done again, and it's passed on to our kids. And you're just, you see these patterns repeated, right, through the family line. I mean, it's just happening. So we can just take a moment and just understand that this has all been by design. And so I'm going to get like sci-fi on you now. But from my perspective, this is being orchestrated from off-planet. And so it's not the politics, it's not the churches, it's not, it is. But it's a play, it's a movie. Like, it depends on what fishbowl you're in. Like, are you looking at it from this level? Are you looking at it from another level? Are you looking at it from an expanded level? So by design, this planet has been preyed upon, we'll just say, by anti-life forms for our resources, for our energy, for our consciousness. And we are in a war over consciousness right now with AI. This is the realm that we are in. And so the difference is that this is a planetary precession moment where for the first time in many, many thousands of years, the lines of incarnation of life form into this planetary realm are free, or I would say they are occupied by life-affirming forces. And so, this is something that has been spoken of in many of the ancient lineages. It is just not some repetition of history. You can look in the yugas, you can look in the Mayan calendar. That's not really my specialty. I teach through life experience and through knowing what is true in my body. And so it's not because we're such low lives that we just can't get it together, or that other person is so dumb, or, this race of people just didn't get it. It's because it's been by design, and we've been controlled in many, many areas of our life, much more than we are aware of. And, we had that movie come out like during the pandemic. What was it called?
The Social Dilemma.
Yeah, Social Dilemma. So it's like, many, many things have been being impulsed into the planetary field, as well as mind control. They can impulse energies around the field that can create certain things. So now is a time where you can claim your sovereignty, and I can see this is making you very uncomfortable on your show, but you brought it up. So, I never go into these realms, but this is the truth. This is what is happening. And you want proof? Look around. Why continuously do we let our humanity starve when we have enough money to feed them? Why continuously are these patterns of war? They just go around in cycles and cycles. Why is there no resolution in the political system? And, as long as I've been alive, they've been, gun control, like all these things that happen. And it just is a cycle that repeats and repeats and repeats. I have to believe that if you were holding 1 or 2 or 3 or 4% of the wealth of the planet, you would do something with that money. I'm going to just wager that you would help our humanity. But repeatedly, we are not. And so for me, it's not like I've seen an alien recently, but I just look at the evidence. So am I seeing my humanity freed? I'm not. And going back to yogi teachings and lineages, one moment of realization is more valuable than 10,000 lifetimes of charity. Because when you wake up, it reverberates throughout all creation. So you said, what is more worthy than clearing your ancestral trauma? Yeah, what is more worthy than waking up? Waking up to the fact that you are a divine emanation of the sacred one that breathed you into life. You are omniscient, you are eternal, and you are divine. And that is every single one of us listening to this podcast and beyond. People also that aren't listening to this podcast. But again, it's a choice, and there are different timelines, and we're not all like going up in the air in a 5th dimensional balloon. It's not like up and away. That's not going to happen. Look around.
You probably would not be a good idea to go up in a balloon right now.
Probably
since
not.
We're shooting down balloons.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So, it's not everyone. Not everyone is in the same operating system. Not everyone has chosen the same life path. And it's okay. But you do have a choice. You have a choice to claim your sovereign embodiment and to at least at the end of the day, when you put your head on that pillow, let it be your life that you lived. And find out what is your way of being in the world. What is it that you love? What is it that makes you feel connected? What is valuable to you? What do you enjoy? Do that, because that's going to bless everyone around you and you. You first. Is that super scary, that whole thing that I just said?
No, it's good.
Okay.
I think it's a good place to take a quick break.
Okay.
And we'll come back.
We get to break now?
Yeah, we'll take a break.
Okay.
Prophets walk among us. As a writer and podcaster for nearly 10 years, I've become more convinced than ever that our world is populated by scores of beautiful and brilliant people who have amazing stories to share. Those that we don't know, who can teach us something new and leave us all the better for the experience of their sharing. And so I've dedicated my career to tracking down the most compelling prophets on the planet, going deep with each of them on my podcast to elucidate the best of what they have to offer and to sharing the insights gleaned for the benefit of all. But the podcast is not the only medium by which to share their stories, which is why I'm proud to announce the release of my new book, Voicing Change Volume 2. More than mere words on paper, Voicing Change is a physical manifestation of the magic, inspiration, and timeless wisdom that transpires each week on the Rich Roll podcast. The first edition of Voicing Change was a beautifully rendered book worthy of display on any coffee table. And Volume 2 follows in that tradition by showcasing even more of my favorite conversations in an elegant publication replete with interview excerpts, essays, and stunning photography, making for an exquisite companion to the first volume or a satisfying standalone work. Picking up this book allows you to revisit the wisdom of your favorite everyday prophets and physically interact with the life-changing ideas contained within. Voicing Change Volume 2, available now while supplies last for a limited time. Order your copy today only at richroll.com. That was really beautiful what you just said. And as you were recounting that, I was thinking about, maybe this is weird, but I was thinking about that dinner that we had a couple weeks ago where we were invited to Mike Posner's house. And it was like Mike Posner and Doug Evans like making a sprout dinner. And Doug's wife, Siobhan, in Q was there. And just watching Mike Posner, who is so naturally full of like joy and awe and wonder and ease about himself, like he's just naturally brimming with like enthusiasm and a sort of beautiful childlike, nature to his like sovereign self. And I was imagining like, I don't think that he's like grinding his teeth when he's writing music. Like it's coming from a place of joy and devotion and reverence, just the way about him, right? And as we're eating dinner, I'm watching him and I'm like, wow, what would it be like to be like that? Because I'm, a crotchety, cynical guy who's self-conscious and up in my head and, not feeling connected to my body in that way. And the distance between kind of how he gracefully walks the planet and the way that I do are so different. And I was like, there's a lot to be learned by how he is, and I was wondering, has he always been that way? Did he undergo some kind of process to become like that or more like that? But I've been thinking about that a lot, right? Which speaks to what you're talking about, which is releasing self-will and being in this place of presence and devotion and really telescoping up 10,000 feet to realize like we're temporarily on this spinning rock and we have just a moment to express ourselves and to share love and joy.
That's amazing. Maybe he can come over and spoon with you in a tent.
I know.
I'm sure he'd be up for it.
But it was like InQ was there. It was like InQ, Doug,
Siobhan,
his
Leaf,
wife,
Joanna.
Yeah. And Mike.
And another guy I didn't know.
Right.
Another
a friend of Mike's. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of podcast episodes sitting around.
That's
this
right.
table,
Just sitting here. Exactly.
And Mike, if Doug is the Sprout King, Mike Posner is the prince of sprouting, I think. He's the heir apparent.
He is.
He's a very enthusiastic
They are bonded.
sprouter.
They are very beautiful. Very beautiful people.
Anyway.
It's amazing.
Well, in the middle of the table, we have this beautiful cheese board. Do you want to do like a cheese board presentation for every podcast that we do? So we just have this for every episode.
Just for everyone. Well, it is really cool.
Adorn the table with
But you know what?
delights.
It's SriMu is such an amazing food offering. I just came from visiting my friends, Gabby and Rodrigo, up in Marin County, and they have recently invested in SriMu, and they have welcomed me into their community. And I went up to their home where they hosted first a tea ceremony, which we made this incredible cheese board, and it just goes along beautifully, at like 5 p.m., like sort of at that time. And then the following night, they had a party of some just very amazing, I would say, conscious entrepreneurs that are changing the face of humanity. And we served, cheese boards, and it was just the perfect food. It was like enough sustenance, delicious flavor paired with kombucha or organic wine, and many different eating types, plant-based, keto, paleo, gluten-free, dairy-free. There was a woman there who was just thanking me, literally told me SriMu changed her life because she's not been able to eat dairy for, 10 years or something. So, these cheese boards just keep on delivering. And we have Easter coming up, Passover, springtime. And SriMu is just such an amazing offering to bring to any gathering, any dinner party. And, here I did this board, very sort of a little bit more sparse, but again, just using your creativity and getting a bouquet of flowers and fresh berries and your favorite chocolates and making sure you have gluten-free crackers and then maybe another option. It's just really an amazing product. I am proud to have been the channel that the breath breathed through in order to bring her onto planet Earth. And I'm just telling you guys, it's kind of funny because, I'll eat my own cheese and find myself telling myself how good it is. Like even still, after all this time. So yeah.
It's cool. Gabby and Rodrigo have a company called House of Now.
What time is it, Rich?
So I'm wearing it. So they make these watches that look like fancy, they're like fancy watches, but it just says now on it. There's no watch hands or anything like that. Like, it's like, what time is it? It's now.
It's now.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool brand. We're doing some collaborations with them, and, it's just a really fashionable way. It comes in a million colors. It comes in like gold, pink gold, white gold, black, silver. It's really, really beautiful, beautifully packaged, and really cool movement and message behind the movement.
I've been thinking about your startup journey lately in the context of what's gone down with Miyoko's. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
So, you're in the middle of like trying to complete an angel round of financing, and this is a process that you have been walking through quite gracefully. And what I mean by that is there have been opportunities over the course of the last, 2 years or whatever, to sit down with and entertain investment from large venture capital entities or like big money people who place big bets on companies. And we're in a culture in which, fueled by kind of Silicon Valley hysteria, where we celebrate startup founders who raise gigantic amounts of cash, right? It's like, oh my God, and the common story, fast forwarding years down the line is that often, these big bets and large investments end up, sort of to the dismay of the founder, like creating something beyond what they intended, right? They end up getting pushed out. This happened to Doug Evans. It's kind of it's a typical story, right? Like a founder has a great idea, grows a company to a certain place, takes on a ton of money. A board of directors is compiled. These people, need a return on their investment. They're on a timetable. They want an exit. Decisions are made that often are contrary to the kind of ethical underpinnings of the company's origin. And that's the nature of commerce and capitalism, and so it goes. And so this is a situation that you had quite a bit of conscious awareness around and had the capacity to say no to certain people who were interested in placing just such a big bet with you, and instead deciding upon the, perhaps more difficult or longer path of only taking investment from people that really resonated with you as basically people that are like on your wavelength, that share this vision, and being really conscious and careful about that, which means that this has taken a little bit longer, but also has been, and I think I'm speaking for you in saying that has been much more gratifying. Like, even though there's a long way to go, like, you feel really good about the place that you're in right now. And I think that when you look at Miyoko, and for people who don't know, Miyoko, who created and grew Miyoko's creamery, plant-based cheese and plant-based dairy products to a certain place, it's like it's a ubiquitous brand right now. It's everywhere you go, you see it. Like, she's done an incredible job and really pioneered the whole sector that you're in. Like, she's just the queen, right? But recently has made headlines because she has been kind of forced out of her own company, and it's a big mess right now.
Yeah.
So how do you reflect on that? Like an incredible founder, woman of color who built like this amazing business,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is the condition of planet Earth and what we have incarnated into. And every single woman listening to me right now has their own stories of being marginalized, passed over, even abused, even preyed upon, even, so we can go down the whole rabbit hole with that. I mean, that's just the condition of this planet, and it's by design. When the feminine consciousness was ripped out of the spiritual lineage of the planet thousands of years ago. But with regards to Miyoko, she is the I would say, pioneer, the founder of plant-based cheeses. She has been in it for many, many, many years. I am not a personal friend of hers. I have met her a couple times, and I am a fan of hers, a support of hers. For what she did. The fact that I was able to sell my book, This Cheese is Nuts, had everything to do with the fact that she had published a book before me. So I have, utmost respect for her and for, all the women leaders, all the mom gods that are on the planet that know how to lead, innovate, and curate and nurture and nourish and grow amazing expressions of life all around us, stemming from the child, then to whatever else women do. We all have 29 arms. We're doing it all. So, within the startup culture, this is the story that I hear from many, many founders. They say that, their advice to me is take as little money as you need. And I know currently, a handful of them that are going through similar experiences as Miyoko. So it's like, they get a big investor, they get a big investment, and then suddenly they're starting to lose their company. They're being questioned in the integrity and their choices and everything they're doing. So, I mean, I would say, again, I'm an artist. I am a devotional artist, I think, of life and whatever medium that I'm working in. This entire expression of plant-based cheese came out of an organic, very authentic life experience of us going through our process together and you becoming vegan and me wanting to nourish you and feed you. And so for me, it's not a business idea. It's a natural evolution of life experience. And because I'm so seeped in devotion, when I create that these foods, these SriMu wheels, these flavors are infused with spiritual consciousness. It's a frequency. That is my prayer that when whoever ingests it, they remember who they are. They get a little further access into feeling connected. And so for a while there, I was being sort of courted by some very big companies that had taken other plant-based brands into these gigantic valuations. And I was trying to understand it because I was like, oh, there's a formula. Let me learn this. And then after I took all these meetings, which were like 60 meetings with almost all men, I saw 4 women and only no front-facing women, quite frankly. Like, it was shocking to me that the venture world is so void of women. In the end, I did meet a couple women in the end that I really, really liked. And I love men too. Like, this isn't that commentary, but it's just the way that it is. So I did finally get a message. I heard a message. Now, I didn't hear the voice like from God, like, Julie. I felt the message. Like, I was walking through our living room and something told me kinesthetically in my body, it said, why are you not applying the same amount of spirituality, artistry, and originality to the financial raise of SriMu as you did to the formulation and branding of the product? And it stopped me mid-stride, and I looked up at the sky at whatever was communicating to me, and I said, good question. Why am I not? Because I didn't think I could, because I had compartmentalized that side and told myself, well, you don't know business and you don't understand raises, and so you can't do that. So what I did is I said no to one of those offers, and then I went to the crystal warehouse, you'll be happy to hear, and I bought 13 specimens of beautiful crystals, and I started lighting fire ceremonies, which is something I do. I'm a fire priestess. I decided to call in my cosmic family based on a 13 million valuation, which I gave myself, based on all the years that I've developed hundreds of plant-based recipes, the fact that I developed an actual product that I was shipping to multiple subscribers, and that I had proven this model with positive margins already, and many successes that would validate me to create that level of valuation. There were other companies that had $25 million valuations that had not shipped one box of product, or they were still in a development with different fake meat things, things like that. But I had actually been in the field.
In business.
No, actually, and making food, creating food for years. So what I did, which is really annoying to old paradigm business people, is so I made it 13 million, my valuation, because I'm a spiritual being and having a human experience, and 13 is my sacred number, and it means unity. So this intention of this ceremonial circle was to bring the investors, the cosmic family, the humanitarians into unity around this mission. And my approach was, I'm raising 3.3 because I kind of figured out that's a good amount, but not too much. But now I'm even starting to reevaluate. I don't think I am going to raise that 3.3. I think I'm going to knock it down. So right now I'm in a process of reassessing really how much I need, and I'm not going to take more than that. So what I told my cosmic family that came into my field was that I'm not promising you a 30% ROI. But what I'm promising you is a life experience that will be a magic carpet ride that you have never imagined, and that we will truly affect humanity and the planet for good, for a higher vibration, and that we're going to have a blast in the process, and that I mean it, and that I'm dedicated to this with every ounce, cell, DNA strand of my being. So I am here for this completely. And so what this did is it brought this beautiful collection of human beings who are all amazing. I don't hold back. The alien thing that I just said in the first part of the podcast, they've all heard it and way more. I'm just completely transparent with who I am. I am not posturing or holding anything back. I talk to them about the major mission of SriMu, which is to fund the next evolution of the temples in Damanhur, Italy. My beloved cosmic family there, I'm an initiate of that community. They built temples to mankind in secret inside a mountain that are the true treasures, true devotional activators of life on this planet. And they have plans for an $88 million complex called the Parliament of the Peoples, which will house the indigenous DNA of planet Earth. That is why I am in the SriMu experience. Of course, it will touch millions of people along the way. And at the core of SriMu is community. So I am interested in the touch, human to human touch. And that is why I'm relocating my production facility to Memphis, Tennessee. I'm leaving tomorrow night, and we're having our first big team meeting. The space is almost ready for the production side. But we are moving into Memphis, Tennessee to Crosstown Concourse, which is a vertical community of the arts, of music, of healing, of community in all ways. And it is deeply, deeply meaningful to us. So we are looking for brand collaborations. We are looking for meaningful partnerships, meaningful co-creation. It is all about the creative process. SriMu is a beauty brand. The plant-based artisanal cheese collection is only the first product through this lifestyle. There will be, Ayurvedic products, Abhyanga oils, many, many more food products. I'm working on a hair product right now. My friend Brian, who did the branding, who is doing the cafe design, we both have some pretty good hair.
Epic hair.
We have epic hair.
You and Brian together should be, like making billboards for, hair products.
So we're
nothing
gonna
else.
So we're gonna do a hair product, and we're gonna shoot that, which is really great. And this is all about community. It's all about connecting. And like this board, it's about the celebration of diversity, and it is all are needed. All are needed, and it's a super, super expansive time right now.
Yeah. Well, the Crosstown Concourse thing sounds really cool. I still haven't visited it yet, but from what I gather and what you've told me, and I've seen lots of pictures of it. I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around the scale of this place. Like, you originally told me it was an old Sears Roebuck building. So in my mind, I'm thinking department store size, but in truth, I think it was like a factory.
It's the distribution facility.
Okay, so it was like this, like it's this massive, massive complex.
It's like a train station.
That was at one time the center of, a certain, sub-economy in Memphis for Sears and Roebuck, then went fallow and fell into disrepair.
It didn't go, I would say
at some point.
I'd say they just, I guess I would say they lived their lives. They all lived these lives and then died, and then it didn't come
right.
on.
And so there was a period of time, though, where it just was sitting there.
Yes, true.
And it's been rejuvenated through investment, and now turned into this incredibly dynamic. It's not a mall. It's like a center. It's like its own city.
It's a vertical community.
Theater, vertical community. There you go, right? With like everything you could imagine in it. It's like including like recording studios and Airbnbs. And is there a school in there?
There's a New Thought High School on the second floor. There's a YMCA, church health teaching kitchens, artist in residency, gigantic photo labs.
Like a listening library for vinyl, right?
Yeah, incredible listening library. Performance theater, like for 1,000 seats. It's got, restaurants, Global Cafe, and that is Sabine's, which is refugee run. And then Farm Burger. They make a great burger, like not a fake veggie burger, an actual veggie burger there, which is amazing. And we have this amazing red spiral staircase that comes from the MoMA level museum gallery that they have, and it spills out right at my space. And so we're building this amazing art installation where the cheese is blessed and wrapped, but it's going to have like all these, sound and visuals,
but
and
it's with glass, right? So people can watch.
Exactly. So you can see the production.
And there's going to be like a storefront retail wine and cheese
cafe
experience.
Yeah, cafe, exactly, with ready-made cheese boards, grab and go, or you can come and sit in the cafe and have wine or kombucha, and enjoy a SriMu cheese board, which is really, really exciting.
What is the timeline on that being up and running? Like, you've begun the move, but it's going to be a minute, right?
So we're going to ship our first month in Memphis in May. So we're going to be shipping our Easter shipment. And then we're moving after that. So just so you guys know, if you order by March 12th, then we'll ship on the 14th of March. And if you order by the 2nd of April, we'll ship you on the 4th of April. So you'll get your shipment for Easter or Passover. We're going to give you guys, can I give them a code now?
Sure.
RRP20, and we're going to give free shipping on any order over $127. You can get all different kinds of boxes: Eternal, Awaken, Devoted, Ritual, or you can even get a big commune box that has 12 wheels, reminding everyone these wheels freeze perfectly. So you can freeze them and thaw them within probably 40 minutes. And they're absolutely perfect. There's no change in the texture or the quality or anything about it. So anyway, and then the other thing I wanted to mention was we are looking for some amazing family members to join us in the facility. We're going to be interviewing this week when we go there, but we're looking for high-level management, kitchen management, also cafe management. So if anybody's listening, you can email us at dolife@srimu.com and someone will get back to you on that. But it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's
very
cool.
excited.
Proud of you.
Very excited.
Yeah.
I wish you could come this week. There's so many amazing people coming and we're filming everything. And so I wanted to give a shout out to Bobby Bailey, who is a dear friend. He and his wife, Erin, and he's going to be a director on a film project that I'm working on. And
super exciting.
It's going to be super fun.
Yeah. We had, shifting gears a little bit, we had Scott Berman over here just for a visit yesterday, who's the guy who created the Sky Cave Retreat Center, the Darkness Retreat.
That's right. We were talking about that this morning. Yeah.
So we were talking, like, I'm considering, like, should I go into the dark? Like, Colin O'Brady did it recently. He's sending me videos and he's like, you got to do it.
Colin loved it.
And it's, so I've been thinking about it. And Scott was lovely. Like, he's clearly like the right person to be doing this kind of work. Like, it was super interesting talking to him. So I came home and I was like, yeah, I met the Darkness Retreat guy. And you're like, you already walk around in your own self-created darkness retreat. Because I was having I've been like the last 2 days, I just haven't felt great. And I've been kind of off my game.
You've been in a dark cave.
Yeah, you're in a darkness retreat now.
Did you tell? No, I was teasing you. I just said, did you tell him that you have your own dark cave that you carry around with you from time to time? No, we were talking about it. I mean, it's cool. It could be really, really cool. I'm not going in anytime soon. I'm having too much fun out here. So
I don't know. Probably going to do it.
A lot of people like it. I did run into Colin actually at a very...
That's right. You ran into him almost randomly, I think like right after he came out of the cave.
I did. Yeah, that's right. It was so funny. Gabriella and Rodrigo invited me skiing. And so I hopped over to Jackson Hole and met them. And they took me to this party of some friends of theirs, Mariana and Yaniv. And they were like, Sri, there are a lot of people are a lot younger than we are, so, we'll just roll in. And then, I'm older than they are, but they're like, we'll roll in and roll out. So we go in and I just find a comfy place, like on some, fur throw on the fireplace hearth. And I'm sitting in lotus. And, Rodrigo said, he's like, oh, look at Sri's over there. We're going to have to leave in like, a few minutes, like not stay too long, whatever. And then the DJs were really amazing. And then all of a sudden I got up and I started dancing. Cut to like 3 hours later, I'm just in the middle of the dance floor and they were laughing so hard. So we were getting ready to leave finally after this 3-hour dance thing. And I went over to get my phone and it was on the hearth. And this guy with these ridiculous round kind of plastic glasses and like some funky sweatshirt was like standing right there. And then he says to me, what's your name? Or no, he says, nice hat.
Right.
And then it turned out it was Colin and we were just cracking up because we ran into each other. So then we had a nice share, but
Did he
Anyway.
reflect back to you anything?
Yeah,
about
he was
that
like, it was
darkness?
insane. It was crazy. I'd got to get rich in there. It was really incredible. Yeah.
Cool.
So it was sweet.
Well, I'm ready to round this out, but I think it would be good if you could, share a practice or, something to reflect upon
Yeah.
as we culminate
Thanks.
this experience.
I mean, the one thing that has been sort of up for me, and that, I have people reach out to me a lot about death. And I've had a lot of people telling me like that they heard an episode on death that I did. I don't even know where. But they said that it, really, really helped them or really shifted their experience. And I just want to remind people that thoughts are things and that we are eternal life forms. And the best way that we can serve our fellow humanity, our animals, and our loved ones who choose their sacred exit during these times, or even if they have already chosen their sacred exit and you felt like you couldn't be there for them, or you didn't know what to do, or it was also mechanical that you couldn't really participate. I just want to remind you that time does not exist beyond this dimension. And so where your loved ones are, you can still do a ceremony. You can still offer them a prayer, a song, a sentiment. And remember that it's like they're getting ready, they're in a bird suit, and they're getting ready to jump off a mountain, and they're afraid of heights. And so your grief, your sadness, and your inability to let them go is like lead weights around them. And so, yes, there is a time to grieve. There is a time to cry. There is a time to go through those processes. But remember, the greatest thing you can do is to imagine that there is a iridescent blue cord, and imagine them in whatever form you see them in, and start at below their feet and start to imagine that you weave this cocoon. Start weaving this blue cocoon all around them, and take your time and breathe and tell them, thank you, I love you, I trust you, I believe in you, and I know we will see each other again. And go ahead and do it all the way over your loved ones. And remember that blue light is the calming light. And remember that if you are excessively grieving or unable to accept what is, or have not really explored death, and you are really fearing your own death, which is what's making you, sort of stuck in a way or so upset, just remember that you can send them these prayers in this way, and you can do it repeatedly. You can do it whenever you're missing them. And then I would offer that there is an opportunity for communication that is beyond anything that we ever imagined. And so in your mind, develop a sign with that being that has left, whether it's a butterfly or whether it's a golden coin, whatever it is, and say that in your inner intention and ask for the communication, and then wait and see how they communicate to you and how you see that sign, or that sign appears when they are near. Many, many people have this experience, but I'm just reminding, many of us have had to say goodbye to people. And it is a very tender, very raw time for many of us. And so I just want to invite people to maybe close their eyes for a second, if that feels okay with you, not if you're driving. And let's just collect our breath together. Let's start to sync our breath up. And so bring your awareness to your breath and take some deep inhales, long, deep, fluid inhales. Pausing at the top of that inhale for just a moment. And then let's take another collective exhale together and just releasing that down. And allow it to completely empty out. Maybe draw your belly slightly to your spine. And just take that pause again. And then let's take another breath together as we inhale through the nose. Long, deep, fluid-free breath. And as you get to the top, let's stop for just a moment. Fall into that gap. And then let's exhale together collectively. Exhaling all the breath out. Let it be free. And at the bottom, maybe you pull your belly gently into your spine, emptying out. And let's pause again. And again, let's take another breath through the nose. A long, deep, fluid inhale. Just drawing the breath up. Pausing at the top. And then exhale. Letting the breath release down. And as you continue to breathe like that, I'm just going to open the field in sacred service to the law of one. And as we ignite as a community, as a humanity, across all timelines, all realities, all dimensions, and the void, we ask, command, and intend for the highest exchange according to the future wills of our God selves embodied. Beloved teams from the multiverse, please comfort our humanity who are suffering now. Please ignite your grace, your nourishment, your guidance, your companionship around them. Where there is suffering, let our humanity feel our presence, that united we are mighty, we are sovereign, and we are omniscient. So, beloveds, feel this in your heart space, the place where you first heal. This is the first feel, the portal, the inkling into the heart. And return there after this podcast to this inner chamber of the heart intelligence. And let's find each other waiting there. We're not going without you. Remember who you are. And so it is.
Beautiful. Thank you.
That's all I got.
Well, I'm sure there's another podcast in our future. You can save it until then.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you. Love you.
Love you, babe.